Hello everyone, welcome. LotPixel Hub is finally here, and it's a tool that will seriously speed up your workflow and make using assets in Blender incredibly easy. In this video, we're going to start completely from scratch. I'll show you how to download it from the Microsoft Store, how to log in, we'll explore inside together, take a look at more than 6,000 assets and over 1,300 free ones. Then we'll move to Blender and test everything on a real scene textures, 3D models, decals, and the whole import process. By the end of this video, LotPixel Hub won't be a mystery anymore. You'll know how to install it, how to use it, and where everything is. Let's get started. I'm going to lotpixel.com and heading over to the LotPixel Hub page. Here you can see what the application does, who it's built for, and that it's currently in beta. The best part is that right now you can try it completely for free. So it's not just for paid users, literally anyone can try it and use it. Now I'm moving over to the Microsoft Store. When you open the store page, you can install it just like a normal Windows application. You click Get, it downloads, installs, and it's ready to use. Everything is stable and simple. Once the installation is finished, I open the app. The first step is logging in. If you already have an account, you can log in directly. If you don't, you can quickly create one from the website. After logging in, LotPixel Hub fully unlocks and you can start using all the assets comfortably. Now let's explore inside a bit. There are textures, 3D models, decals. Everything is categorized. You can search, filter, and easily find whatever you're looking for. Now I'm jumping into Blender. I'm creating a simple plane and subdividing it. Later, we'll also add a subdivision surface modifier. But first, I want to show a few important details inside the application, because once your workflow is set correctly, everything starts flowing automatically. Let me explain the categories on the left side. Purchased, assets you've bought and are linked to your account. Local, assets you've already downloaded to your machine. And here we have more than 1,300 free assets that you can use. And let me clearly say something important here. You cannot use the application offline. You need an internet connection for the app to work, to list the products, to access the database. Now I'll type wooden in the search bar, and here we can see all the wooden textures. Download settings and import settings. These two sections determine how the assets you download will behave and how they will be brought into Blender. First, I open the Download Settings panel. This is where the technical structure of the assets being downloaded is managed. Whether it's a model, texture, or decal, this is where the core structure is defined. After that, I switch to the Import Settings panel. This section determines how the downloaded asset enters Blender. So we're basically moving from the download stage into the entering the scene stage. Looking at the texture section, you can clearly see how the material system is structured, which maps are used, and how Blender organizes everything. Here, I especially open the displacement section because the format you use for displacement directly affects the quality you get. And here we strongly recommend using EXR. Then I move back to the 3D model and decal sections. 3D models are used to build the main structure of your scene, while decals add detail, character, and life to your surfaces. Being able to manage both separately gives you a lot of creative flexibility. Now I focus again on the 3D model section and show the LOD system. LOD levels determine the density of model detail. Personally, I mostly use LOD 0 since it gives the highest level of quality and the most accurate result for quality-focused projects. However, this is not a strict rule. Lower LOD levels are extremely useful for performance, optimization, and large scenes, so the system doesn't restrict you, it allows you to make conscious choices. From here, I move back to Blender. Since we were just talking about displacement, now I'll show how it actually affects the scene. I continue working on the plane and add a subdivision surface modifier because displacement needs enough geometry to work correctly. And this is exactly why we recommended EXR displacement earlier. EXR carries more data. Blender reads this data much more accurately on subdivided geometry, and as a result, the surface truly raises, gains depth, and becomes realistically detailed. Now let's apply the material and displacement and see the result together. Now I select a texture and download it. If the Blender script isn't installed, you'll see a warning, and that's completely normal. If for some reason the script is not automatically installed, you can install it manually. We go into Blender's script directory, add the LotPixel script folder, activate it from Blender add-ons, and everything works the same way. We install the script, and from here you have two options. You can restart Blender, or you can simply reload the script. Reloading is much faster. Reloading the script is enough. Then I press N, open the side panel, and you can see the LotPixel panel here. This panel basically works like a control center for your material. After installing the script, we import again. But here's something important. The application applies the material to whichever object is selected in the scene. So if the plane is selected, it goes directly onto the plane. So I select the plane, press import, and this time the material is applied directly to the correct object. Now let me quickly go through the panel settings in order. First, I start with displacement. Increasing it gives deeper and stronger surface detail. Lowering it makes it flatter and cleaner. Then I move to hue, saturation, brightness, and contrast. These control the color character, intensity, brightness, and contrast of the material, allowing us to adapt it to the atmosphere of the scene. Next, we have metallic, roughness, normal, and specular. Metallic defines how metallic the surface feels. Roughness controls glossiness versus matte behavior. Normal adjusts microsurface detail, and specular controls how light reacts to the surface. Then I adjust tiling and rotation to control repetition density and direction of the texture. And with location, I can shift placement precisely. Ambient occlusion adds extra depth and shadow feel. Then I show displacement again so you can clearly see how each parameter changes the surface step by step. After that, I adjust emissive color and strength if I want the material to glow. And finally, opacity. If I need transparency, I control it here. So basically, with this panel, you can shape a material almost like designing it from scratch, but in a fast and controlled way. Now let's move on to a 3D model. I select the ancient nymph head model. I check download settings. You can see the full data structure. Then I go to import and show that it imports with LOD0, meaning the highest detail level. The textures also come ready. I download it and switch back to Blender. Here's an important point. When a model is imported, it is placed where the cursor is. So I move the cursor exactly where I want the model to appear. Then I return to the application, import the model, and it drops exactly where I wanted it. Then I make a few small adjustments. I change the hue slightly, experiment a bit. I don't use displacement here because the model is already extremely detailed and doesn't need it. Since its UVs are already clean, I don't need tiling or rotation either. I test normal strength, reflections, and saturation to fine-tune the look. Now I move on to decals. I create a small plane in Blender. I select a decal, check download settings and import settings, then download it. I go back to Blender, select the plane, return to the app, press import, and the decal is applied directly to the selected plane. Then I open the LotPixel panel again. I adjust the brightness to make it stronger or softer. Then I change the roughness to switch between a shinier or more matte look. Finally, I play with the opacity to make it either fully visible or slightly transparent. Now let's take a look at the node system. There's also something important here. We generate normal maps in DirectX format, but Blender works with OpenGL normals, so we automatically convert them. That means more accurate light behavior, more realistic shading, and much cleaner results. The displacement button also has another important function. When you enable it, LotPixel doesn't just change values on the panel, it actually updates Blender's material settings as well. But when you turn on the displacement button in our panel, this automatically switches to displacement and bump. That means real displacement becomes fully active, not just a visual bump effect. And when you disable the button, it goes back to its previous state. When something is downloaded, where does it go? Instead of clicking directly on the product, we click the settings icon on the product and choose Open Folder. This takes you straight to the file location. Instantly one-click access. As you can see, LotPixel Hub is not just a downloader. It's more like a real working assistant that speeds up your production process. Textures, models, decals, you select them, download them, import them, and continue creating. It's currently in beta and completely free to try. Definitely check it out and let us know your feedback. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.